purpose of this demonstration is to prove the local time settings to the exchange time settings. Now in Portara, the local time is an extra overlay on top of the exchange time, and it is a little bit more complicated using the local time. You are advised to use exchange time where possible to save you thinking with the extra overlay of the local time on top. But for people who do want to use the local time, this is a demonstration of that, and also a proof back to the exchange time that it's all functioning correctly. This is an advanced video, so if you don't understand anything on here, go back and see the earlier videos and the tips and hints there. Okay, so we're going to start off with the role manager and we'll pull that in. Okay, now I'm going to choose, which I have done already, is select one symbol, and we'll use the Japanese yen. That's as good as any. We set it to JYA with some currency role settings that work, and we're going to run that data off. And once that completes, we'll close it. Next we'll open the intraday compression manager. We'll drag that in. Okay, now the first thing we'll do, we'll start off with our exchange time, and we'll go into setup, session times, and we shall set the Japanese yen to exchange time, and we'll put, for this demonstration, we'll go 0720 to 1400, which was the old legacy pit hours for the Japanese yen, and we'll save that file. And basically we shall move into intraday, and we'll choose 10 minutes will do, as good as any to go with. Select the weekends and we are good to go, so we'll create streams there. Let's check the timestamp, and now we'll create streams. And now we'll set that to daily and create the regular trading hours daily data in the same way. Okay, good. Okay, let me move this up and drag in the data here. Now there's the 10 minutes and the daily that we've just created, so I'm going to cut that away and I'm going to copy that over here for use in a few minutes time. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the timestamp model to local time, and I'm going to go back into session times again. And this is the important bit to remember. If we go down to the Japanese yen, you need to put this onto local time to use the algorithms for local. If you leave it on exchange, it won't work, and that's important. It needs to go onto local time. And now what you've got to start doing is thinking in local time for these particular session start and end times, and this is where it gets tricky. Okay, so the advice from Portara is to use exchange time where you can and avoid local time, but if you really need to do it, set it to local time here, also on the main user interface here, and you've got to start thinking in your local time how you want your timestamps to appear here. So notice down here I've got this set to Pacific time at the minute, just as an example. Now all the data from CQG is always in Central Time, Chicago time. So the difference between Pacific and Central is 2 hours. So whatever we've got set for exchange time here has to alter by 2 hours. So 0720 to 1400 in Pacific time for exactly the same data would be 0520, okay, to 1200, and there is the match. Okay, so what we're going to have, what we should have is when we run this is timestamps according to this, but the data should be identical. Okay, so we're going to save that and make sure we're on local. We are, and we'll go back to 10-minute bars. Let's include the timestamp and create the data. When that's finished, we do the same with the daily and rerun that in the same way. Okay. And notice now that we've got the 10 minutes and the daily off the local here, and we've got the exchange here. So what we need to do now is compare these two folders and files together to see whether there's any differences. Okay, so what we need to do is bring across a WinDiff, which is part of a Visual Studio's setup in here, and what it is, it's a file comparer. So we're just going to go in there and compare directories. So I've already set this, as you can see, and this is pointing to the daily on the desktop. We'll start with the daily, and the daily in the normal Portara folder, and of course when we compare that, we can see there that the files are identical, and if we open any of them, they are the same. Just let me drag that in. We can double click on there and we can see our data. So the data there is identical. You've got all of the days of the 14 day to 12 it's all there. Okay, so that's step one. Let me get rid of that and move that down. Now the next stage is to bring in the WinDiff on the intraday, and I'm going to do that now. Let me just resize that. Okay, and bring that in. And now what we're going to do is compare the 10-minute folders together here, and you'll see compare, and you'll see they're both 10 minutes pointing at that. And when we do that, we can see a difference now. Now before you think, oh, there's a difference absolutely, because the timestamps differ, but we need to check the data. So what we're going to do is we're going to double click that file, and that's going to take a couple of seconds to open, and we're going to drag that WinDiff application in, and you can see here, and we'll only look at this section because it's true all the way through the file, and we can see the date here, but look, the 0530 is the local timestamp and 0730 is the exchange, and you can see the only differences in there are the timestamps which we want. That's exactly what we want. And if you compare the data, look here and here and here, and if you go anywhere in the file, we pick randomly here, there's 0730 and 0930, 256, 61, 256, 257, it's the same. Alright, so let me just close that, and what I'll do as a last test, we know the dailies are identical because the file came back with no differences. If we open JY local and we scroll to the bottom and we open that's off screen folks, just bear with me, and we open JY exchange and we scroll on this one as well to the bottom of the screen, and we just look at the last setup there, we can see here 1400 08484, it's the same data, 08484 88 7985 7985, it's all the same, and the only difference is the timestamp of 1200 and 1400. Okay,